Hi, this is Gina Marchese. Welcome back to ASUG News. I have with me today Dave Rathbun. He is the founder of the Business Objects Board. Bob, welcome.
Thanks, Gina.
Great to have you here.
It's good to be here.
I understand this is a big year for Bob, 10th anniversary.
This is our 10th anniversary. Officially it was last month, but we're kind of making it a bigger thing and carrying it out over a whole month. So
Tremendous.
Yeah, we'll be celebrating for a while.
That's excellent. Tell us a little bit about your history, your accomplishments. What makes you most proud of Bob?
So I think the story of Bob's, I never get tired of telling it, and I know we're on a time limit, so you're going to have to cut me off. Bob started off as a mailing list, a community of people that were helping each other to solve business objects problems. At the time, it was a fairly simple list because business objects was a fairly simple product at the time. And of course, as the product suite grew, the list became more and more well known at events primarily like this. People would say, hey, if you need help, here's where you go. And eventually the mailing list format became a little bit unwieldy, and we ended up switching over to a bulletin board format, and that was a little bit of a risk, but we decided that was the way we wanted to go. There's tons of advantages, and that's what happened 10 years ago. So the mailing list ran from 96 to 2002, 8 years-ish. So a couple of years ago, Bob met that milestone, and now we've gone past it. So I think that's one of the things that makes me the most proud is the fact that we started this thing not knowing what was going to happen, and now 10 years later we're still going strong, and it's hard to run into people now that don't know who Bob is, and that's wonderful.
That's great, and I understand you have a really positive following, maybe perhaps something with those who are not familiar with internet or community statistics. You have some really impressive numbers. You have over 65,000 active users, and more than half of them are posting.
That's great, and if you look at any number of discussion boards out there, you'll find that people will register thinking maybe they need to do that to search, just to participate as a lurker, we call them. Bob is not like that. You can search, you can do whatever you want without registering, but once you do register, yes, a typical ratio might be 80 to 90% lurkers, non-posting members. We have over 53% of our members have posted at least once, and that means they're active, they're invested, they're involved, and I think that's fantastic. That's part of what makes it such a great community.
I think that's a testament to the fact that Business Objects customers are eager to learn, eager to share. But I also know, in all reality, there's other resources. So where are they coming? Where are they looking for information? What are they getting from you that perhaps they're not getting somewhere else?
So that's a great question. I think what the mailing list served originally and what Bob carried forward is the fact that there's an immediacy to it. If you get lucky and you post a question at the same time somebody else happens to be online that had that same exact problem, you'll get an answer, and it's a real world answer, and you don't have to go through, I don't want to talk bad about tech support, but there's a lot of hurdles you have to go through with tech support, and there's also access issues. I know I work at PepsiCo, and we have a set number of folks that are able to log into the support portal. Well, those aren't the only folks that have problems. So anybody can come to Bob, post their question, and very frequently get a very good answer.
Now tell me, I understand you have some communities are more active than others. Who's your audience? Who are you talking to mostly?
So it's primarily technical issues that we solve, right. So it's probably overwhelmingly developer types. And I say probably because as part of our process, we don't collect a lot of demographics. I know where people are coming from. In fact, we had a little fun for a while. We had a flag running, a flag counter on the bottom of every page, and it tracked by your IP address. Right. Well, where did Gina log in from? We had over 220 different countries show up on that list before we turned it off because I think we were overloading their server, right, and it was making our pages slow down, but that's kind of neat.
Now, you have some stars in your communities that are more active than not, the reporting side, the webby side. Who are your communities that, if there was a short list, who's bubbling up to the top, most engaged?
I think one of the great examples of SAP's involvement with Bob is in the data services area, the formerly data integrator and so on. The SAP product manager is actually active on Bob. And he's out there, he's taking surveys, he's interacting with the users. And it's wonderful to see that level of involvement.
Now you mentioned a lot of engagement, and I know we hear a lot about this on the ASUG side about the pay it forward. You talked about the fact that people are coming and they're coming back. Tell me a little bit about your pay it forward experience.
So I hear this story over and over, and frankly it's my story too. When I joined the mailing list, I was learning, I would read and I would try to absorb what was being shared out there. And then as you do this over time, you see some of the same questions come up. So you dip your toe in the water and you say, oh, I think I know that one. And you might post an answer. And I have people come up to me all the time and say, Bob has helped me so much, so I keep coming back. Even though that problem has been solved, I keep coming back because now I want to help somebody else.
You were talking a little bit before our interview about moderation. I know on the ASUG website we talked a lot years ago when we launched the Jive component of our website for our discussions. Do we moderate? Don't we moderate? I know you were a member of a council that we consulted with. Tell me how you feel about the moderation component, because you do not moderate on Bob.
Well, we do. We don't pre-approve everything, but we do have a very good moderator team, and the moderator team primarily is made up of folks that make Bob a part of their day. They go out every morning, maybe every afternoon. We have one of our moderators is in the UK, so when he's done for the day, he'll come on. And what their job is to basically look for content that's inappropriate, because anytime you have a website that's got any activity at all, you're kind of a magnet for spammers. So you want to remodel your kitchen? No, we don't want to remodel our kitchen. We want to build new universes, a little bit bigger scale. So the moderator team is involved in removing that kind of content, but also helping people. There's folks that are new to this kind of interface. They don't quite get what a board is, and they might post the same question 5 different places thinking, hey, I'll get more attention that way, not realizing they're just splintering the amount of responses they're going to get. So the moderators can clean that up, maybe merge a couple of topics if they come together and things like that.
I think that's a really responsible approach and makes you a trusted resource. And I think that's a tremendous. I think that's often overthought and perhaps ignored in some cases. So congratulations for being so forward-thinking. But considering forward-thinking, you've got 10, 20 years ahead of you. What's next for Bob?
So that's a question I get asked frequently. Where are we going from here? And my answer really hasn't changed too much from the past 10 years. When we built Bob out of the mailing list, it was, we're going to, what's the movie? A Field of Dreams. If you build it, and they will come. Well, in this case, it was, we're going to build it and see if they come. Obviously, a lot of people came, and they've made it a part of their life, and it's continued. If you, I took advantage of the free download. We'll put in a plug here for SAP, the Visual Intelligence. So I downloaded a bunch of my web stats and I plugged them into Visual Intelligence, and it reconfirmed some things that I've been looking at. Our user growth has been phenomenal. We get 20 to 30 new members every day. Sometimes I get a little bump after an event like this. Right. The posting activity, interestingly enough, has actually tailed off some over the past year or two. And I talked to a couple of my members about that, and one of them said, well, you know what? We've already answered all the questions.
Right.
Don't think that's true. So where do we go in the future? Bob is a community. It's not just my thing. It is 50,000+ users that go out there. One of the things that I always like to look at, we talked about how many people posted at least once. What I like to look at is, and I ran the numbers just this morning, 8%, it doesn't sound like a lot, but 8% of Bob's community, the whole community, has logged in at least once in the last 90 days. And that to me is just key to show how vibrant that community is and how immersive people keep coming back. As long as people do that, Bob will remain, and it will remain as it is today, an independent resource available for everybody.
Excellent. Well, again, congratulations. It's certainly a very testament to your passion, which I see so much here while we're at conference.
Absolutely.
And I'm really excited for you. I think it's a great thing you're doing.
Thanks, Gina.
Thanks for joining us. Thank you. If you have questions or want to view proceedings from ASUG News Broadcast, visit asugonline.com. Thank you.